Alright, welcome back everybody, this is GTN. Today's video tutorial, we're going to be covering some basic Flash animation. And what we're basically going to be covering is how to convert our drawn graphic files into individual movie clips, learning how to change the pivot points and animate them separately, and then be able to animate the movie clip as a whole. So I'm going to go ahead and launch up Flash. As you can see, I'm kind of using an older version of Flash, but that shouldn't matter because we're still just learning how to tween and change our pivots, let alone construct, the movie clip, the animations of the movie clip. All right, once you open up this file, you can see that we have on our timeline a layer here that we have named actions. If you double click, as you can see, you can name your actions or rename the layer. I always keep an actions layer right on the very top, and as you scroll down, you can see it's 50 frames total. And then at the bottom here, you notice there's an A indicating there's an action script. So if you right click in it, go to actions, you can see that there's just a stop action. So what the timeline is doing is when we preview it, it just goes to the 50 frames and just stops right here and then continues the loop. And as you can see here, this whole movie clip, there's two of them actually. There's the butterfly character here, and then of course the background itself, and they are both individual movie clips. So if I click on him, you can see he's got the bounding box around him, the instance of the movie clip, but right now he's in a graphic state. We haven't converted him to a movie clip, he's just been converted to a graphic. Alright, if I double click inside him, you can see we have individual layers of what he's constructed of, all the way down to we have arm 2, which is behind the body, and the body's over here. So as you can see, we're working in layers here, and each individual clip we're going to convert into a movie clip and animate them separately. And as you can see, I'm inside the graphic. So if I go back to the main scene, which is the Route 1 scene, or the main timeline, there's the whole, graphic, as a whole, I should say. And then, of course, you have the looping background, which is this one. If I double click in it, you can see here are its individual layers. And we'll break these down a little more in detail. And I'm going to go back to the main route, click on our movie clip guide. So, like if I were to preview this, none of the animations have been done. So if I just go to File, Publish Preview, Flash, or actually let me go to File, Publish Settings. Let me change this, turn this back on, turn that off. Just going to press OK. So if I preview this in Flash, as you can see, it's not animated. It's just sitting there because we haven't done any animations yet. All right, now I'm going to open up a file, or my web site here, and as you can see, it's the 215 class. For you students in my class, it's right here. You have right here, the 215 Interactive Communication Designs, Henderson, Nevada campus. Labs, homeworks, and quizzes. We click on here, and we are in week 2. And then as you can see, this is obviously the graphic we're working with. And so if I click this on, you'll notice how the animation works right here in this example animation. I believe I already clicked, so maybe I don't. So I go ahead and click on here. This loads up, and this is what we're seeing. We're seeing individual movie clips of our animated butterfly guy. Wings are flapping, his legs are going back, and his arms are kind of pumping. And his eyes are kind of moving. As you can see, we have a looping background of just simple grass that was done with a Photoshop brush. Alright, so let's go back to our, so basically, what I want you guys to do is recreate this, and, at least so you can practice your animations, simple animations. Alright, so I'm going to go back to Flash here. I'm going to close this out. Alright, so we are in our main timeline here. So, let's work with our butterfly guy here. I'm going to go ahead and just turn off the looping background for now. And as you can see, this is just our canvas right here. And if I did, reveal that, if I showed you the kind of the X-ray form, you can see where he sits on the frame. And then as you can see, the looping background, it's kind of big, and as I scroll down, you can see how much grass is really there that's kind of looping. Alright, so let's hide that with the eye here. Remember, you can turn off your layers by just clicking on the eyes or individual layers. So let's unhide our butterfly dude. I guess that's what I called him. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is the first thing is, as you can see, we click on him. He's just a basic graphic. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him down to a movie clip. Now he's an individual movie clip. Alright, so I'm going to go inside his movie clip. And then we have all these individual graphics as well that are, you know, not animated. Alright, so let's start off with, you know, let's start off on his wings, I suppose. Right here, as you can see, it's wings. Now, what I can do here is, I can, you know, if we want to make sure we're not getting anything in the way, let's just click on the eye and then unhide this, so we're just working with the wings. And don't move them, because if we move them, then we're going to move them out of place. So I'm just going to Control Z. Alright, so I'm going to okay, I'm not double clicking on it yet because he's still a graphic. Remember, if we want to see an animate, we have to convert it to a movie clip. So I'm actually going to take the wing here and just, it's already been a graphic, so I'm just going to change it to movie clip. And you can tell when it's, you know, you see the little gears here. Alright, so now he is a movie clip. Let's go inside his movie clip. I'm going to double click, and now as you can see we have wing 1 and wing 2, which are just you know, standard graphics, and if we want to we can convert those to movie clips, but we're not. So as you can see, that's wing 1 and wing 2 on our timeline here. So what I'm going to do is actually we're going to animate this really simple. So I'm going to click on the 5th frame here. I'm going to hit my F6, and as you can see it duplicates that graphic. And there's a couple things we can do. You know, I can maybe highlight them, so I'm just clicking, right clicking like that, just click and drag, right click, and then create the motion tween. If you're in a newer version of Flash, you might want to, you know, right click it and make it a classic tween. Alright, then from here, so we already have our first tween. You can see it's in blue. I'm going to go to to frame 10, hit F6 again, and that should create a second tween. Alright, so there it is, our tween, and we have not animated any of this yet. So I'm just going to actually click on the middle frame right here between these two, and we're just going to animate him a little bit. So I'm going to take my free transform tool, and I'm just going to pivot it. You know, I'm going to go here, rotate it a little bit, just like that. And as you can see, we duplicated the first 3 frames, so that's all it's doing, going back and forth. I'm not sure if it's exact same animation as the one before, but you know, at least you can see that we're just moving it. All right, and then that's its loop sequence. So the first frame and the 10th frame are in the same position as where the 5th frame was rotated a little bit. So it just kind of does this little loop. All right, so let's do that to the other one here. We're on the second wing here. Let's go ahead and we can either hit F6 or you can do it this way. I'm just going to click and drag. And make sure you don't double click, because if you do it, it drags the clip itself. So I'm going to Control Z. So you can do it this way. I'm just going to click, drag, right click, insert keyframe. With this still being highlighted black, I can right click and create the motion tween. That's another way you can do it. And then I can come here and do the same thing. Right click, insert keyframe, then it will automatically create the tween. So basically all the graphics now, each one of these dots represent that graphic over again. So technically we got 3 graphics that are kind of like on top of each other. Alright, so of course the starting frame and the ending frame are in the same position. This is what creates the loop. So I'm going to take this middle frame here, and I guess we can go maybe that way. I'm arc rotating it this way. And as you can see, if I scrub through, there's his little loop. That's all it's doing. So that's all I want to do to animate it. I do not have an action on here. If I want to, I can name an action layer, but I'm not going to put anything in there. So I just want the frame to loop by itself. So if I were to preview this, you know, you would see the actual frame just looping. So let's see if that works. I might preview the whole clip the movie clip as a whole. Alright, so So there you go. We have a simple looping, you know, butterfly loop. That's just looping because that's all it's doing. Alright, so if we were to study that timeline, let's go back. Right here, pay attention to these layers here. Right now we are in the butterfly wings movie clip. Let's go back one. Now this is the movie clip of the wings. And as you can see, that movie clip is just sitting on one frame, which doesn't matter because that's where it stops on his timeline and then continues the animation within this movie clip. So let's go back to the main timeline. Alright, so the butterfly, which contains, you know, this butterfly dude movie clip contains all the movie clips inside it. So like I said, when this plays, all it does is just come right through here, stops at 50, even though the movie clips under it will continue to play even though if it's one frame, because within those movie clips, we go inside them, it has its little animation timeline, which we have no, we're not giving it the action as a stop, so what it does is it just comes and plays and goes back to frame one, so it just does a loop. Alright, so let's go back to the main butterfly movie clip, or we get back to the wings. Alright, let's go ahead and unhide everything. And like I said, let's play it one more time. So I'm just going to go to the main scene and just go File, Publish Preview, Flash. And there you go. We just get this simple wings looping. Alright, so let's go ahead and animate another part of the movie clip of the butterfly dude. So I'm going to actually double click inside his movie clip. And now let's pick on another part of his object here. So let's go to, say, his arms. So if I click on his arms, which is arm 1 right here, notice his pivot point is in the center. So if I were to actually rotate that by hitting my free transform tool, or its Q, your hotkey, it rotates on that pivot, and this is the pivot right here. We want to change that pivot to where we want the rotation to happen. In this case, we want it to change, right there. So we're going to go inside this movie clip and let's create the animation. So first, let's grab the arm itself, change it to a movie clip, and as you can see, the pivot's right here, and we'll eventually go inside here and animate that. Alright, so the pivot inside here we're going to change. So this is his regular, we're inside the movie clip of the arm. So what we're going to do here is just actually, I'm going to click frame 5, insert keyframe, right click, create motion tween. I can do it again that way, or like I said earlier, you can hit just F6 once the tween is already created. And there, we have the basic tween, but no animation yet. So I'm actually just going to move frame 5. But what I'm going to do is actually change the pivot. But before I should have done this, I'm going to Control Z. We need to change the pivot from the very start. So let's grab him. And the way we're going to move that pivot, we're just, we have this one selected, the free transform. I'm going to click on that and move it right by his joint, right there. That's where the new pivot is. So now I'm going to right click, insert keyframe, create the tween, and then go to frame 10, hit F6. So there's our tween, but now I'm going to go to frame 5, and I am just going to kind of arc this like that so he does like a punch, but not too far, just right there. So now there's his tween, just a simple back and forth, and it just loops. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and we can actually name this if we want to, his arm. And we have no actions in it, so I can just go back to the butterfly movie clip. And then that movie clip will actually animate now. So the pivot is right there inside his movie clip. So let's go back to the main scene and let's just give it a test. So we're going to go File, Publish Preview, Flash. And as you can see, his arm is just tweening. And we haven't got the second one animated. Alright, so let's close that out and let's go animate another part of his body. So I'm going to click on our movie clip here, double click in him, and let's grab this arm. Now as you can see, it's still a graphic. If I click on the arm right here, you can see it's still a graphic. Let's switch it to a movie clip now. And we're going to go inside this movie clip, change the pivot point, and animate it. So I'm going to double click. That's the beauty about Flash, you know, when you double click it kind of, you know, makes the other graphics kind of transparent so you can see what's going on. And as you can see, this one is an instance already of this movie clip. The minute we changed it to a movie clip, it took the properties of the old one. So alright, because that graphic was basically duplicated and it made it an instance which is like a twin. So that pretty much helped us out right there already. Alright, so we don't need to animate him. Let's just go back. And now, but as you can see, the pivot point, let's see where, yep, it's already been placed because the pivot point's been moved. So let's just go back and preview this now. So File, Publish Preview, Flash, and now you can see he's doing his little punching thingy, whatever that is. Alright, so now what we're going to do is let's go animate his legs. Now, this is going to be the easy part too. It's going to be just as easy because this leg is an instance of this leg. So whatever we do to this one is going to make this one animate as well. Alright? Unless we decide to rename that leg a different name. Alright, so let's close this out and then we will continue this. Alright, we're going to continue working on our butterfly guy here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and click on his movie clip. So we're clicking on the butterfly. As you can see, it's still a movie clip. Let's double click inside him. Alright, so we already got the wings and the arms. Basically, you know, a simple tween animation here. But before I want to get into this, you know, animating the rest of his body, we can actually adjust the timing and the speed of his animation. So if I preview this again, you can see it's kind of going really fast. So maybe I want the wings to go maybe a little faster and his arms a little slower. So what we'll do is we'll go back and adjust the tweens. So I'm going to go into the wings here, double click them. I'm actually going to click and highlight both of those. Hold it down one more time by holding my right mouse. Just drag it over, and then I can grab these two as well. I can just, you know, click and drag, or hold on, click, so they're both highlighted. Then hold down my mouse again and drag it back. And then these frames right here, these little dots right here, or the little dash lines, that's just indicating the frame is continuing over. And then it stops. So watch the timeline as I scroll. Does the animation and then stops for the next 5 frames. We don't want that, so we're going to remove those frames. So I'm just going to click, bring them down, highlight so they're black like that, right click, and then just remove frames. So there we go. Now the wings should move faster because now instead of 10 frames it took to do its loop, it's only doing 5 frames. So if I preview this, you can see his wings are going to flap a little faster. Alright, and now let's adjust, you know, the speed of his arms. So I'm going to go back to the arm movie clip here. Now remember, whatever we do this one, since this was copied prior to the graphic, this one's going to do the same exact thing. So we're actually going to make his arm tween longer. So I'm going to click once, then hold it down, and we'll make it say 30, let's say 20 frames. And then we'll move this one to the middle, 10 frames. So now this should be a slower tween now. So let's go ahead and Flash preview that. We can go File, Flash. And now you can see his arms are faster, and then these two arms are going slower. We can even make it even go, you know, tween slower or animate slower. Let's just drag it to the 40th frame here, and then we'll drag this one to about 20. Let's preview it. There you go. So now it's going slower. Alright, I kind of liked it at, 10 and 20. So let's move that to 10, and then I'm going to click again, drag it back. Whoops. Click, and then hold it down, drag it to 20. But of course, we got to remove these frames. So I'm going to highlight those, right click, and remove frames. Let's test it out one last time. There we go. That's a pretty good speed. So there, as you can see, we can actually adjust the tweens and how long the animations would take. All right, so let's go back to the butterfly movie clip, and now let's animate the leg here. All right, so I'm actually going to click on the leg. As you can see, it's still graphic. We're going to switch this to a movie clip. All right. So inside this movie clip now, the leg, we're going to double click it and animate that leg. So let's click on this graphic and see where the pivot is. You can see it's right in the center here, so we're going to move that pivot. Whoops. Let's click on him, free transform, so we can get this to be like the white dot, then we can actually move it. I'm going to move it right there. And then we're going to actually create the tween. So I'm going to go click, drag to say frame. Let's go frame 5. Right click, insert keyframe. With this still being highlighted, right click again. Or left click, create the tween. And then I'm going to go to F10 and hit, or I'm sorry, going to 10, not F10. I'm going to go to frame 10, hit F6, create that tween. So we got 3 of the same graphic duplicated. As you can see, there's frame 1, frame 5, and frame 10 all in the same spot. Let's grab frame 5 and take our, obviously our free transform, and then let's just kind of tween him out a little bit. So now let's loop it and see what he does. That's basically it. He's just kind of kicking like that. Or maybe I'll go frame 5 and tween him over here. So it's like that. Alright, so there's our animation. It's kind of really quick. Let's go back. So if we preview this, notice this is not a movie clip yet, so this leg should technically stay still when we preview it. And this one will animate. So we'll go File, Publish Preview, Flash. There we go. He's got one leg kicking. Alright, so let's go ahead and convert this leg into a movie clip. Now remember, when we convert it to a movie clip, it's taken this one's properties, because when I originally drew this character, I duplicated that leg, save time in production or whatever you want to call it, just save time to create this lab. So whatever we do this one, once we convert it to a movie clip, it's taking the instant properties of that one, of the first leg. Alright, so let's go ahead and click on him. As you can see, he's a graphic, move him to a movie clip, so if I go inside him, since he was an instance, it takes the same animation. Alright, so let's go back and preview it. File, Publish Preview, and there you go, there goes his animation. Alright, now the last thing we're going to do is probably just animate his eyes, kind of make him go back and forth. So let's go ahead and click on the butterfly movie clip. So I'm going to double click inside him. We got his eyes. As you can see, his eyes are, one whole graphic here. Alright, so let's convert him into a movie clip. Right now he is a graphic, or actually he's already a movie clip. He was probably, he should have been a graphic, but in this case he is a movie clip already, so I'm just going to change it back to a movie clip. Alright, so we're going to double click inside. As you can see, we have I1 and I2. So, we have our iris, I'm sorry, and then our eyes. Iris would be, if I hide it, it's the little balls right there, the blue ball. Yeah, the blue eyes, if that's what you want to call them. Alright, so what we're going to do is actually convert these into movie clips. So we have 2 of them, so I'm actually going to go convert that to a movie clip. And then I'm going to go inside that movie clip so we have the two individual eyes. And you're not going to animate these at the same time or create the betweens at the same time. So I'm just going to, I can come down here, maybe select both F10s. I'm sorry, frame 10, and just hit F6. As you can see, it created the frame. I can highlight these both now. Right click, create the movie tween. Come here to frame, say 20, hit F6 again, so we get them both at the same time. But yet I can animate them separately if I wanted to. So the first blue eye here, frame 10, I'm going to take my magnifying glass here and let's zoom up on his eyes a little bit so we have a little more room. I'm going to take that eye with my move tool. Let's just kind of have him look over here. And then his eyes just kind of go back and forth. Or let's position those a little bit better. Let's move it over here. So it's just a subtle eye movement. Could be something like that. And then we can go to this frame here, and we'll just have this kind of move down too. So we just got some kind of bouncing eyes back and forth. We can do it that way. Or you know what? Let's grab this one and let's have him go look that way. This one. Have him look over here. So he's just kind of going back and forth with his eyes. And that's it. That's the whole animation. So I'll go back into the butterfly eyes, which are this little area. I Control Z, put them back in place. As you can see, that is a movie clip, those eyes. And these ones are just, simple graphics. We're not doing anything with those. So I'm going to go back to the butterfly movie clip. Let's scale out. So I'm going to use my magnifying glass. Or, you can come over here if you can find your percentage. We'll just go back to fit and window. Grab my move tool again. And as you can see, we have now his eyes are animated. So here's his eye movie clip. If I double click in him, we have just the iris itself. I hide it. It's just the eyes itself, and then you have the irises or whatever, the little blue dots, and those are a movie clip themselves, which have a timeline of these going back and forth. So as you can see, these movie clips can get pretty deep. I guess if you want to compare this something to, I don't know if you guys watched Inception. It's kind of a bad analogy, but it's kind of being in like the third dream state, I suppose. So for example, this would be, let's go back to scene 1, this would be dream state 1, right? Double click it. Now we're in the second dream state. That's kind of silly. I'm sorry I'm using this comparison. But maybe if you watch Inception, maybe that would make sense. And then if I click in here, these eyes, this would be the third. And then, actually, if I click in here, so that would be actually the fourth dream state. Anyways, that's being silly. But hopefully that made a point, or got the point across. So as you can see, movie clips can go layers and, movie clips within movie clips within movie clips. That's how interesting Flash can be. Alright, so let's go ahead and test it out. I'm going back to the first scene here, which is the main timeline. Let's go File, Publish Preview. And as you can see, our butterfly now, his eyes are going back and forth with the rest of his animation. Alright. Alright, let's go ahead and continue. Now that we got our butterfly dude or guy animated, let's go ahead and animate his looping